countdown, right, to the end of 2025, beginning of 2026. How are you feeling about that? Right? If you look back at 2025 and reflect on the year that's gone by and highlights, lowlights, kind of, the year in review kind of thing, and then think about next year. What does 2026 bring? What are your hopes, dreams, fears, doubts, expectations? As you approach Thursday in a new year, are you filled with hope or dread? If it's hope, what's the ticket for your hope? What's your hope in? Why are you hopeful that 2026 is going to be a good year? And if it's dread, what's the baggage that you're carrying that is making that sense of weight that you're walking into it with? In 2015, I heard about an event in Times Square. This part of their annual holiday New Year's celebration that caught my attention. It's called Good Riddance Day. And the event is sponsored by a company called Shred It. And Shred It provides these mobile shredding trucks that they drive into Times Square. And they invite people to, they give them a form and they can write things on the form that they would like to, as they start a new year, like write it down and shred it, forget it. Leave that in the past and kind of open the door to a new year. The tagline is destroying any and all unpleasant, embarrassing, and downright forgettable memories from the past year and pave the way for new memories in the new year. Shred it and forget it. And I'm struck by the popularity of the event. Like, people pile into Times Square to do this activity of shredding and quote unquote forgetting the past year to pave the way into a new year. I'm struck not because that I think people have things that they like to leave behind. That doesn't surprise me at all. But there's this capturing people's desire to actually physically do something in the expression of that. I find people in my life experience, even in myself, to not be very good at forgetting things that we want to forget. I find we're very good at remembering things we would like to forget, right? We oftentimes would like to, let go of things, put them in the past, but we're terrible at forgetting things that we want to forget. The things that we like to forget often are not very forgettable, right? That they have what I call dangling participles. They have parts of it that even if you'd like to erase them, they don't go away. For example, say if you overspent on your credit card during Christmas and you would like to shred your next credit card bill and forget it, right? It doesn't. They're going to send you another one after that, and another one after that, and another one after that, and pretty soon the tax collector is going to be knocking on your door, or the debt collectors are knocking on your door. It's like they're not going to let you forget it. That you might like to forget that relationship that has gone south, but there are all kinds of pieces that just don't let go very easily. That you can't take back those words that you said in a moment of haste or frustration or anger. It's like they used to, once the toothpaste is out of the tube, right, it just doesn't go back in. And even if we don't have any great burden that we need to shed going into a new year, I think it's a good practice for any of us to pause and to reflect on where we've been and what's happened, and that there's value in reflecting on our lives and thinking about things rather than just barreling down the road from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. But my conviction is that there's something better than shredding and forgetting, because again, I don't think it's very effective. That this whole idea of good riddance is going to be less than effective in terms of what we need. But God offers something better than good riddance. God offers what I call good redemption. Good redemption. And so in 2015, this is kind of a weird Sunday in the life of the church, because we have our Advent celebration 4 weeks leading up to Christmas, and you do the whole Christmas anticipation celebration thing, and then typically when you start into the new year, you have some New Year's kind of resolution, you do a new series, but you got the Sunday in between Advent and New Year's, and it's like, well, what do we do with it? So I declared that this is from 2015 henceforth, and so this is the 11th annual celebration, how quickly time flies, of Good Redemption Sunday. Redemption. Just to kind of catch you up if you missed it or you don't remember, if you live in California, you know this, that every time you buy, maybe you don't even forget it, you forget it, right? Every time you buy a water bottle, a Gatorade bottle, an energy drink bottle, can, soda, whatever it is that comes in a bottle or in a can, every time you buy it, if you buy a 24-pack of water, you pay 5 cents for every bottle of water in that 24-pack. It's called your cash redemption, right? You're paying for it up front, and then after you drink the contents of the bottle, you can take it back to the cash redemption place, and they will give you a nickel for each bottle that you purchase. They're buying it back. They're redeeming it from you. Now, I don't know very many people who actually go to the recycler. All right, we got one, right? That actually puts a few. All right, great. I'm most people I know either just throw it in the trash, or they will stock it all up and go to the recycler, and they give you a third of maybe instead of 5 cents, 1 1/4 cents per can. But they're buying it back. They're redeeming it. The idea is that they're trying to keep us from littering, right? Throwing it in the street or in the garbage, to recycle it. That word redemption is the word that Jesus used to describe what he came to accomplish for us on the cross. That sin, when it entered the world and as a part of our lives, effectively sells our soul to the devil. The devil went down to Georgia looking for a soul to steal, and rousing up your bull, and you want something great and something other than God can give us, and we trade out God for that other thing. That sin effectively sells our soul to the devil, and Christ came to redeem us from the curse pronounced by the law, by breaking God's design for our lives. When Jesus was hung on the cross, he took upon himself the curse for our wrongdoing. He went to the cross to buy back our souls that we sold to the devil, to restore a relationship with God. So Psalm 32 says, "Blessed is the one whose transgressions are forgiven, whose sins are covered. Blessed is the one whose sin the Lord does not count against them, and in whose spirit is no deceit." That when we get clean of that stuff, when we get our souls bought back and that stuff put in the past, that there's this blessing that comes upon us of freedom. While forgetting is elusive, right? Forgetting is really, really hard to do. Redemption is liberating. Redemption sets us free. Free from the burden of guilt. Psalm 32 again, "When I kept silent, when I hid sin, my bones wasted away through my groaning all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy on me, my strength was sapped as in the heat of summer." When we carry sin, we hide it in our hearts, it is a weight that increasingly, through the course of our lives, weighs us down more and more and more. And we do different things to navigate that. We try and to nest our pain. We try to bury it, try and forget it, and just kind of push it into the past. It doesn't go away quickly, and it doesn't go away easily. I had a friend who was Catholic, and practiced her Catholic faith, but in her elder years had not been going to Mass, had not gone to confession for a number of years, and she was literally on her deathbed. And because she was my friend, I became her de facto priest. Right? She had things that she had been carrying for a very long time, and she confessed them to me. And she had a crucifix sitting by her bed, and I took the crucifix and I showed it to her, and I said, "My friend, this is what this is all about, right? This is why Jesus went to the cross, to pay for our sins, to set us free from this guilt that you're carrying." And I saw the relief come over her. And she took that crucifix and she held it in her hand and she breathed a deep sigh and she had peace, and she died that night. And I was grateful to be there, and I was grateful to be able to pronounce for her forgiveness and assurance of that. But it also broke my heart because she had carried the things that she was talking about. And these were not things that were not uncommon to human beings, right? It wasn't like some great thing that she couldn't be forgiven of, because there is no great thing we can't be forgiven of. She had carried these things for decades. Unnecessarily, when we confess our sins. David says, "I acknowledge my sin to you and did not cover up my iniquity. I said, I will confess my transgressions to the Lord, and you forgave the guilt of my sin." It doesn't need to be a deathbed confession. That freedom, that release, that relief can come at any point in our lives when we let it go to God. There may still be a price to pay on earth, right? There are things that have consequences here that don't go away, but just because we're forgiven by God, but there is no longer hell to pay in heaven. And when we when that guilt, that shame, pain is removed from us, instead of being a weight, that God becomes our ally and our advocate. Instead of a weight bearing down upon us, the love of God lifts us up. Good redemption sets us free from the guilt of sin. Redemption frees us from the paralyzing grip of regret. Isaiah says, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way. I am making a way. I am making a way in the wilderness, streams in the wasteland." Like there is a path through this regret into a new future. It's not denying it. It's not dwelling on it. It's looking forward to a new future. Good redemption frees us from the shadows of shame. Shame is this nasty little voice inside of our heads that says, if anyone knew what you had done, if anyone knew the things that you think, if anyone knew the things that you have said, if anyone knew your story, you would be through. Right? They would not love you anymore. They would not accept you anymore. They would not treat you the same way anymore. That if people knew that we would be through. And we carry all kinds of shame, abuse, chaos, and confusion, self-doubt. all produced by this voice that says there's something wrong with you, and no one can know about it. When we discover the things we're ashamed of are no longer the verdict on us, right? Even if we did it, even if it's as bad as we thought it was, as bad as we remember it was, that it's no longer the verdict, it's no longer the final word because of redemption, because of forgiveness. We discover that it's no longer the verdict on us. And sometimes, oftentimes, not even the truth about us. Like, we bear this shame for things that happened to us that we had no control over whatsoever. When we discover the truth, and we can speak the shame out loud, when we can say the words, when we speak it into the universe, that into the light of day, it dispels the darkness. The light of truth breaks through, and the power that shame has over us is broken. And it's part of the genius behind Alcoholics Anonymous. Is that you begin just by saying, I am an alcoholic. I'm not hiding it. I'm declaring it, breaking its power over us. Do not be afraid, Isaiah says. You will not, because of good redemption, because of what God has done for us, you will not be put to shame. Do not fear disgrace. You will not be humiliated. You will forget the shame of your youth and remember no more the reproach of your widowhood. You're not going to remember your shame. And I have seen this over and over and over again in the life of the church. In a really, really good small group, someone's carrying something that they've been carrying for years, and they speak it. And people don't judge them. People don't condemn them. People actually identify with them and feel, we'll come back to that in a second, right? That there's freedom and they feel love and acceptance. And this whole idea that if people knew I'd be through is just a lie from the pit of hell. If people knew you would be free, finally. Good redemption frees us for the future. Somebody said forgiveness prevents us from getting stuck in the bad parts of our stories. Forgiveness prevents us from getting stuck in the bad part of our stories and opens the door for a new beginning. Paul wrote, I've got my eyes on the goal. God is beckoning us onward to Jesus. And I am off and running. I am not turning back. Looking, there is a past. It's there. It's real. But because of redemption, because Christ has bought us back, we are free to walk into the future without the burden and the weight and the guilt and the shame of the past. While we might like to forget, redemption makes restoration preferable. When they buy back the bottles, they don't throw them into the trash. They recycle them to be used again. God doesn't waste pain in our lives. God doesn't waste pain. He doesn't waste the pain that we bring on ourselves. He doesn't waste the pain inflicted upon us by others. And he doesn't waste the pain that is just part of the reality of being broken people living in a broken world. God doesn't waste pain. Paul says it this way: we know that in all things, everything, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. It doesn't say that God causes all these terrible things that happen in our lives, but it says that God will use every single one of them. Whatever their source, he will use the pain in our lives so that we can learn from it. Right? We can Endure it, learn from it. Solomon says the prudent see danger and make refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. Right? We can learn from the hard things that we go through. Now, I'm not a fan, personally. I am not a fan of having to learn everything the hard way. If I can learn it the easy way, I am all about it. Growing up, I learned so much from having a big sister go before me. And I could learn from her mistakes, and it spared me a lot of senseless suffering. Thank you. She's here today. Give it up for Tammy. I had a better life because of her. As much as possible, I'd like to learn from your mistakes, not my own. Now, when I do make them, I do want to learn from them, and I hope to help you learn from my mistakes too. I'm not just going to learn from yours. I'm going to let you, hopefully you learn some things from my mistakes along the way as well. But I hope to learn not to make the same mistakes twice. That we go through stuff, and the things that we go through, we learn things about God, we learn things about ourselves, we learn things about life, we learn things about other people from the things that we go through. We're shaped by them. They actually, good, bad, ugly, and different, they shape us into the people that we are and we are becoming. Paul writes, we rejoice in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint us because God has poured out his love into our hearts by the Holy Spirit. We have an exercise that we've done a number of times in the church through different activities where you make a timeline and you just start writing down all the people and experiences of your life. And then you put all of those, just one memory on each on a Post-it note. And the ones that are like just life experiences, good things that happen in the course of your life, things that you learned along the way that are happy and healthy and positive, you put on a yellow Post-it note. And all the ones that involve pain, suffering, heartache, heartbreak, you put those on a Post-it note. And then you lay them all out. You post them all on a poster board in a timeline order. And what you see when you do this exercise, without fault, is when you look back at your life and you look at the things that you go through, you will see a line of yellow Post-it notes, and then you will see 2, 3, 4, 5 hard Post-it notes. And you start to ask questions about, when did I learn the things that matter most to me in life? When did I learn the things that have really shaped me and helped me become? What you see is the most important lessons that we learn in life are the things that came out of those hard seasons, the things that come out of the struggle. They shape us into the people that we are and are becoming. That through good redemption, our pain being used by God for our good, we begin to serve through it. The God of all comfort comforts us in our troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves have received from God. People sometimes admire us for our strengths. Oh, they're so strong. Sometimes they resent them. Sometimes they just envy them, right? Our strengths. But people connect with our weaknesses. Because misery loves company? Or because vulnerability invites authenticity? Because when we're real with other people about what's really going in our lives and the things that we've gone through, they realize that we're human beings and they can identify with us. And then we can actually become someone who they can look to, not as someone who has arrived, but someone who's been through it and can help me maybe just take the next step while they're taking the next step. We serve others oftentimes more powerfully, more effectively, more meaningfully, not through how great we are, but through how broken we've been and how God has worked through that. It gives people hope for themselves. It's in our weakness that people see the power of God and the sufficiency of his grace. That it really is enough for whatever we've been through and for whatever we're going through. And as a result of that, when people see God working through our pain to help us and are invited into that, God receives glory for it. We now have this light shining in our hearts. We ourselves are like fragile clay jars containing this great treasure, the life of God in us. This makes it clear that our great power is from God and not from ourselves. It's like when we are broken and we're put back together by God's love and grace, there's this light now inside of us, God's light, and it's shining through the brokenness. And people see God in us through the healing and the restoration that's taken place. Redemption checks your baggage and upgrades your hope. Checks your baggage from the past year and upgrades your hope as you move into a new year. So, here's my invitation and my challenge. Using the Good Riddance Day invitation. What's unpleasant, embarrassing, and downright forgettable? What would you like to shed and forget? What would be better for you to remember and invite God to redeem? To sit with it. Instead of shredding and forgetting, to bring it to God and ask him, what do you want me to remember? What do you want me to remember from this past year? David prayed, search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me and lead me in the way everlasting. Pray that prayer. Just start there. Search me, O God, know my heart. Test me, know my anxious thoughts. Where do you want to take what's happened in the past year and use it for my good and for your glory? Search me, O God, know my heart. And then these questions. And I'm going to ask you to take these home with you and sometime today, because if you don't do it today, you probably won't do it. Sometimes today. Questions. Are there things I need to confess? Is there guilt that I'm carrying that I just need to put it in front of God and saying, God, I confess that I did not follow you, I disobeyed you, I did what I wanted to do instead of what you called me to do. I'm living life my way instead of the way that you made me to live. I confess. Are there things that I need to confess? Are there people I need to forgive? Right? When we're holding unforgiveness towards another person, we're stuck in that story. We can't move on from it. Do I need to forgive myself? Do I need to forgive others? Are there people I need to forgive? Are there agreements that I need to break? An agreement is something happens to us in our life, and an agreement is our plan to make sure that never happens again. Something bad happens, like, I will never let that happen again because I will never trust anybody again, or I will never do this, or I will always do that. Right? We're making an agreement that it can't be redeemed, it can't be fixed, so I will make sure that it doesn't happen again. Agreements are most often agreements with the devil. That he uses to pin us down, to hold us in a place, to say, you will not get out of this place. Because, you go through and you get hurt in a relationship, and you say, I will never trust anybody again. The most important thing in your life are your relationships. And you've just said, I will never trust it. I will never have another real, authentic relationship. That is an agreement that will destroy your life. Break the agreements, the things that we've said to solve our past problems, to make sure they don't happen again, that are godless. Are there agreements I need to break? Are there wounds I need God to heal? Is there broken places inside of me that I've been trying to anesthetize the pain or cover up or pretend it isn't anymore, that I just need to say, God, I invite you into this broken place. Do what you can do and I can't do. Is there shame I need to bring into the light of the day? Is there something you need to tell somebody else that you've been covering up forever and you think is the verdict on you, and you need somebody to stare you in the eye and say, know what? No, it's not the truth. That's why Jesus went to the cross, to forgive you for that. Or that's not even actually, it wasn't your fault. You don't carry the blame for them. Don't carry the shame for that. Is there shame I need to bring into the light of day? Are there lessons I need to learn from my experience? About myself, about God, about life, about relationships? Invite God to interpret things here, right? We oftentimes, when we're interpreting our lives and trying to learn lessons from our experiences, we misinterpret. Ask God to help us. Like, what really happened here? And what was my fault and what wasn't my fault? And how would you have me walk away from this? Is there a testimony for me to share? Right? Is there something that I've been through that if somebody else knew it, it would help them in their journey to go through it? Jeremiah lamented in his book called Lamentations. He was literally lamenting the people of God's past mistakes and his own part in it and the price they were paying for it. And he says, it's like just the most unhappy book in the whole Bible. It's like, because it's just like, blah, 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 all these terrible things happen, all this stuff happened. And because all this stuff happened, all these terrible things are happening to us now. But in the middle of this Lamentations, he says this: I remember my affliction and my wandering, the bitterness and the gall. I remember them well, and my soul is downcast within me. I'm not putting pig on a lipstick here. I'm not like, I remember. Yet this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. This I call to mind. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. You can have a new year because you have a faithful God. And you can have a new day every single day of your life because you have a faithful God. And your list of lamentations can be a mile long and decades. But you can have a new day because you have a faithful God. He does not waste your pain. He's using it to mold you and shape you into the person that he created you to be and to carry out his work in the world. Do the work. Do the work so that you're not making the same mistakes over and over again. Do the work so we can maximize the learning, so we can maximize the opportunities that we have to love and serve other people. Do the works that other people benefit from it. Each day, by God's grace, is a new day because his compassions never fail. So, you've got a piece of paper, it's a little square box at some point. I just want to write something on that box. Something in that box that you want God to redeem this year. Guilt, shame, brokenness, pain, heartbreak, heartache, something that you want God to redeem. Might be your fault, might be somebody else's fault, might not be anybody's fault. It's just life. But you don't want it to lead you into a dark place. You don't want to lead it into a place that takes you out of relationships or takes you out of life. You want God to use it for your good, for the good of other people in his glory. You want God to redeem it. Write it down. You're not going to shred it. God doesn't waste your pain, right? You're not going to put it in a shredder. You're going to put it in an offering plate on the way out. Don't sign it. This is between you and God. I'm not even going to read it. It's between you and God. But I am going to take it after you offer it, and I'm going to offer it up to God on your behalf. Lord, thank you. Thank you for 2025. It is a year that has had ups and downs, joys and frustrations, heartache, heartbreak, pain, suffering, loss, beauty, wonder, awe. It's been a year of life in a broken world. And I pray that as we come to the end of a year, God, that you would search our hearts. We would invite you in. And with that, reveal to us where anxiety is stealing our peace, where regret is stealing our joy, where past shame is hiding us and burying us in darkness. Search our hearts, know us. Test our anxious thoughts. If there's anything inside of us, God, that you want to go to work on as we enter into a new year, we offer it to you and pray, have your way. Lord, have your way. In Jesus' name.